Attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome, everyone. This is Drayton Boylston. I'm here with the magnificent Gary Henson. Say hello, Gary.
Hello, Drayton, and welcome to the Coaching Crucible July edition.
Yes, and we're here, and we came off. Now, Gary and I were in the Riviera for the last 3 weeks on vacation, but we came back to the States just so we could do this program. Right, Gary?
Right after you and I were featured on the World Executive Business Coaching Summit, we immediately jumped on our private chartered jet that we had waiting in the wings. We went to the Riviera, and we are now back in action.
Everybody's going to think that we're either delusional or we've got some massive inheritance, Gary. So
there you go. Well, yeah, we have a good sense of humor. How's that?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Welcome to all of you. We've got a good number of people with us today, and we appreciate you being here. We're going to do something a little bit different today, in that we're going to talk about, and this is based on what we heard from a lot of you last time, we're going to talk about the whole social media thing. And Gary, I remember years ago, before we got into social media, it was one of those things that I was adamant that I would never go down that path. And I don't know if you felt that way, but
Guilty. Yeah, me too.
4 or 5 years ago, and I thought, man, if there's just a time sponge, that's it. And I don't want to do it. I don't want to be a slave to it. It drives me crazy, and I just don't want to be in kind of that ADD responsive thing. And we had, in fact, one of our students sent me a message and said, you have to do it, you have to do it. And I said, I'm not going to do it. And he kept beating on me for months. And I finally said, okay, you bring to me the compelling evidence on why we should do this, and I'll do it. And lo and behold, this guy, his name's Chris Hogan, he went and did all this research, went to his seminars, then wrote a white paper for me about social media and the impact that it can have. And he said, I will give you my commitment that it will only cost you about 10 to 15 minutes a day. I said, sign me up then. I'll do a beta test. So that was about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago now. And at this point, we've got a following, direct contacts, et cetera, of approaching 70,000 people.
Yep.
And it's a great way to do things, folks, and I'll give you some insight in terms of how we do it. I'll show you exactly how we do some things and what's important and how to stay away from the time sponge thing. And let's just get a show of hands from folks in terms of if you think this will be helpful for all of you to hear this today. So just raise your hand, just on the console there. Just raise your hand if you think that would be helpful for all of you to do today.
And while they're doing that, Drayton, I have a surprise for you. I'm going to actually jump in a couple of times. I have a different spin I'm going to put on some of the things that you might be saying if we have time. So
yeah, good.
There's some really good things that people can embrace, because I just want everybody to hear we're speaking to a coaching community, a community of people that are in a specific industry, and we understand that, and we're not going to go off and talk about how to blog if you're an insurance agent, or what's a great Facebook presence if you're a CPA or something like that. Not that those things wouldn't work that Drayton and I are going to talk about, but I also want to get everybody present to the fact that because of our commitment, my partner Drayton and I, our commitment to the industry, we want to bring you stuff that's going to work for you. This is not like, here's how to do it, and we're not going to do it. This is like experience, both good and bad experiences that we've had that we want to share so we can get you guys in the pipeline to getting results for your coaching practice or coaching business.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Gary, because that's the key. We're here to be of service. This is our public service effort that we do to help promote the industry and to help all of you. And because of that, we'll share the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I can tell you, and I'm sorry this pop-up, Steve, keeps showing up, guys. I can't get rid of it. But I'll go to something here in a second. And I'll tell you, I need to talk to our guru behind the scenes. what we're sharing with you is very coaching-centric. So whether you're a coach or an HR person, someone that's involved in this industry, either directly or on the periphery, this should help you. And hopefully it will demystify this whole social media thing too, because I firmly believe, Gary, it's one of the best ways for us to connect as thought leaders with millions of people out there. When you think about when we do a post, given our various outlets, we know that it is seen by approximately 1 million people across the various platforms. And that's a staggering number in terms of reach. And that's something that as a thought leader you can do as well. It's a building process. It's not going to happen overnight. But one of the important things, and Gary and I covered this when we did the Webex World Summit, first and foremost, you need to be a thought leader. And one of the best ways to do that is via, and it kind of forces you to, is via social media. So you're forced to write tweets, you're forced to make posts on your blog, you're forced to do, and you're not forced, you're choosing to do these things. But it's such a wonderful way for you to start getting your thoughts out there and have people see these writings. And it's just a beautiful, free, for the most part, way to do these things. So Gary, starting off, should we talk about the whole blog thing?
Mr. Drayton, you can start anywhere that you feel that you want to start. I think blogging is probably, the way you just teed it up, I think blogging is probably a great way to start this conversation.
Well, let's do that. And I'm showing you, this is our blog at the Executive Coaching University. And what you'll see here, and this is one of those things too, I didn't think blogs were worth the effort until January of this year. And our level of traffic has gone up over 6-fold since we really started focusing on our blog posts and promoting our blog posts. So if there's one thing that I would recommend, that your takeaway from today, create a blog. Go to wordpress.org and create a blog. You can do it for free or minimal cost depending on the theme that you get. And your reach can just grow magnificently because of this. I know, Gary, I was preaching to you about this whole blog thing just a few weeks ago, wasn't I?
You were, and I was waiting to jump in because, again, our goal, your and my mission and goal here is to bring people information to help them expand, grow, enlarge their sphere of influence. And we're not just going to talk about the happy, good, touchy-feely things like Gary and Drayton going on vacation together and how happy we are. We're talking about things like the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the ugly is that my friend Drayton really pressed me to say, Gary, you've got to spend more time and more effort on your blog and make it more current and updated and spend more energy on it. And he influenced me because of the tremendous results that Drayton was getting. So I just want to just say real quickly, as a support, Drayton, for everybody to support us, please feel free to go on businesscoach.com and click on the blog tab and go and blog with us and support us and correct us and add to what we're saying and learn and grow. We put a lot of great free stuff on there, and that's the point. We want people to get it and to be able to take advantage of some of our 25 years worth of experience. So thank you, Drayton. I appreciate you you supporting me in that.
Well, my pleasure, Gary, and I'm so passionate about this. First of all, this is a great way for, you'll see some different names here. Jenna Forster, she's our Director of Training. Dr. Dave Kruger is a friend of mine and a colleague, and we've done some programs together. And you'll see different names here of people, and we invite other people to come in and post on the blog. But the point of this is that in order to become known in our industry, first of all, focus on your niche and go narrow and deep, as Gary and I have talked about, and get your writings out there. Get people, this is the way they know you. the data suggests, and I believe it, that it takes 6 to 7 touch points or connections with someone before they'll take any kind of action in terms of doing business with you. And people are always talking about, where do I get clients and how do I find, well, if you do it the right way, they will find you. And this is a great way to do this. So you post these articles, and again, we have a WordPress theme that we use, and it's very easy. We do this just through our site, and we can post these things. And I'll just put some more up, different articles up here so you can see these. We post these pretty much weekly, and you'll see in terms of the number of reads, 1,209. We've got 13, almost 1,400 here, almost 1,600 here. Here's one 3,200 times. Robert White's a friend and colleague of mine again. So you look at what happens here. I told you our traffic has gone up 6-fold since we've really been focusing on the blog. It goes out like a spider's web all over the place, and it is such a powerful way to get your thoughts out, to promote what you're doing, and subtle things here. Just at the top of the blog, you'll have the things that you offer, let's say, like we've done here. But the blog it doesn't cost us a penny. Google loves it because it's one of the important things about search engine optimization, SEO as people call it, is that Google loves fresh content. So if you're posting on your blog every single week, Google loves that. And Gary, that's one of the things we've seen since we really focused on the blog, that our position is now in the top, roughly 100,000 websites. And it was way north of that before we started doing this. So fresh content, it enables you to become that thought leader. And you can bring in colleagues. I've talked Gary into, he's going to do a column for us here. And what happens here, let's just go to this one in particular. So when you look at these, what we get people to do is share them on LinkedIn up here. This is in share as LinkedIn. To tweet them, to like them, to put it on Google+, things like this. So it goes out to all these various platforms, and we encourage people to use those to spread the article. And what it does is you'll find people will go do this for you. And yes, your colleagues will support you, and we cross-support people. It's just, what we try to do. And you'll find that it'll show up in places you never imagined. So this is part of that whole cascading effect of becoming a thought leader. Get your words out there. Know that there is power in this. Google loves it, and it can really boost your profile because people see you as an author. They'll see all these different things that you're doing, and it's just building that relationship with people that are out there and not going to networking events and paying for advertising. This is all free. This is all free, and that's one of the things, Gary, I think about with people that are just entering into our business. It's probably one of the first things I would have them do is just develop a blog, start writing, get on Twitter, and I'm going to show you a couple things around that, and then go from there.
Now, Drayton, you have just been hammering on this concept of thought leader the last 2-3 months on the calls, and also when we were featured speakers and presenters at Webex. I want to piggyback on that because when you and I are talking about this, I understand peer-to-peer. Having had so many years in the industry and being thought leaders in this industry and related industries, you and I understand that. But a lot of people, as you said so many times, feel like that it's too overwhelming for them to think of themselves as a thought leader. So I just want to say to those of you, if you want to get the wisdom of Drayton here, and what he's saying is, you create a one-page website or a page on your website where that's your blogging page. You can write articles on something that you're really passionate about, and you can share the information and invite others to blog and give you feedback and create an ongoing dialogue. And then in a few minutes, Drayton, I think we should talk about that spider web effect and why you said that and where all this information goes. But back to the thought leader thing, this one girl, I think I used her as an example. This one lady the last month, she wants to be a specialist and only work with female dentists in her area, which happens to be Silicon Valley, where she lives. It's just a 25-mile radius. It's just not even the whole valley. It's just a freckle of that where she lives. And others will say, well, isn't that limiting herself? Well, yes, it is. But when she talks to a female dentist and tells them who she is and what she does, she's kind of positioning herself as a thought leader inside of that industry. Now imagine when these people in that area have luncheon just for female dentists, who do you think they're going to want to ask to invite to attend the luncheon? Who do you think they're going to want to have once or twice during the year as a keynote speaker? She then gets known for that, and the next thing you know, she's going to get invited to the regional or the California dental convention and speak how she works only with women. The next thing you know, she may get invited or promote herself to the national convention, and before you know it, she picks something, a niche, Drayton. She starts blogging on it and maybe writes an article for the local newspaper, and then the next thing you know, she's the thought leader for that particular industry. And we all have that. Everyone has that unique thing that they're really passionate about. And if you don't invent one and start blogging on it. That's what I wanted to share with everyone.
Excellent. Gary, we got you cut off there just on the last sentence or two, I think.
Okay.
Gary, are you seeing my screen okay in terms of the blog now?
Yeah, the screen's been fine all along, and you've been moving it up and down. It's been going fine.
Okay, good. I just want to double check because it's not showing up on the audience view. Would someone just in the audience, if you could just raise your hand and let me know that you're seeing the screen, I'd appreciate it. Just raise your hand there and let me know that you're seeing the blog right now. Just want to make sure that you guys are.
In the middle of your screen, it'll say Coaching in the Workplace Training Program.
Okay, excellent. Just want to make sure.
If you're seeing that, then you're tracking with us just beautifully.
Okay, excellent. We're getting some questions coming in here.
Good, and a lot of people are joining the call. So for those of you that have come on in the last 5 or 10 minutes, we're talking about social media as it pertains to branding and positioning and marketing yourself as a coach. And Drayton has been giving us some examples of his particular blog site and how you do that, and ultimately create it and position yourself as a thought leader in a particular part of an industry or coaching practice that you can develop for yourself.
Exactly. So if you have any questions, folks, just go ahead and post those. Gary and I are looking at the questions, so just as you have those, just feel free to post those, and we'll be getting to those as soon as we can. I want to bring your attention, look on the right-hand side here, the trending now. These are just some tweets that come from, we use Tweet Adder, just so it's called Tweet Adder if you want to search for that. And that is a way to automate all the tweets, and I'll speak to that in just a moment. But I want you to see how all of this is integrated. So when you go to, let's say, this particular article, and it's going to be slow because we've got so much going on here, and you share these things, so LinkedIn and Google or Google Plus and Twitter, you'll see all these other social media things here. So the important point in all of this is that it's all interlinked. As Gary was saying about the spider web, it's all related, and you have to have a cohesive approach to this. And it's not mysterious at all. You set up these campaigns. You start with your blog. If you're going to do one thing that you learned today from this call, get a blog and write, and have constant, very consistent posts to your blog. As I mentioned, we do ours weekly. And here's the other blog post, but it's all interrelated. So let me show you how this works. So if I were to share this on, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and do this. So I'm going to do this is real live stuff here, Gary. So I'm actually going to share this on LinkedIn, and I'm going to pose a question here. This is how you get people engaged, okay? How is your mindset? And so when I do this, and here's where the numbers get unbelievable, okay? How is your mindset? I'm just sharing this on LinkedIn. And on LinkedIn, here's my profile. This profile, I have almost, and please, I'm doing this for educational purposes, not for any kind of bragging rights or anything else. I want to share this with you, to the power of this. And again, we've been doing this for a number of years and built these things over time. I have approaching 25,000 direct connections on LinkedIn. So when I made that post, and if you look at my profile here, it just, it will post these things immediately to your file. And here's one I posted yesterday, the Coaching Crucible. So this is where it goes to 25,000 direct connections, and then if you look at that next level of second connections, it's in the millions. It's really crazy what can happen here. So blog number one, build your LinkedIn profile number two. LinkedIn is the preeminent place for business. It's not, you know, Facebook, I'll speak to that in a second, but LinkedIn, if you're going to spend time and effort and build relationships, do it on LinkedIn, because that's where the business people are. And you'll find that it's much more of a professional focus than Facebook, and it's just different in a very, very good way. So, and feel free to go to my profile and look and friend me, connect with me on LinkedIn if you want to. That's great. But what happens is when you get there and you become a thought leader, people start endorsing you. And there's a reciprocity factor in all of this, but it's really powerful when you look at, you know, what, okay, here's executive coaching, and you'll find that there's, I don't even know how many people have endorsed me for executive coaching. It's, you know, it caps out at 99.
So you have over 99 people, and probably in the hundreds, who have endorsed you for executive coaching. So for those that don't know what that means, that in other words, they're all saying that that's a skill set that Drayton owns, and they're endorsing him in that particular skill set. And you'll see the rest of them: leadership development, personal development, etc., or skill sets that he has that other people are saying he does really, really well.
And that's where you see 504 people have endorsed me for executive coaching, and that's the type of thing you build over time and reciprocate with people that you know, to keep it credible, of course, and work on your profile. Look at some of the good profiles that are out there, and one of the key things in LinkedIn is to get those endorsements and to get these recommendations. So when you look at recommendations, right here through our predecessor company, our Rescue Institute, the recommendations, they just give you so much credibility. These are written recommendations from people that endorse the work that you do. And I'll just scroll down to where some of these things reside. But it's so important to focus on your LinkedIn profile, spend time, mimic what some of the other people are doing in terms of the thought leaders that you follow. See what their LinkedIn profile looks like. We've done a lot of studying around this. If you want to take our template and use it for yours, that's great to incorporate these things. But here are the recommendations, and you really want to spend time, and these are people that have gone through our programs or that I've worked with over time. Here's Chris Hogan, who actually pushed us into social media. These things are super, super important. So LinkedIn, okay, let's go back to building blocks. Focus on your blog first. Work on your LinkedIn profile. And I'm giving a quick overview here, Gary, so I know it's drinking out of the fire hose right now, but what I'd like to do with all of this, folks, think of the questions that you have around this, because I want to go to a Q&A that Gary and I can address what questions you may have around all of this, so we can, like anything that comes up, we want to make sure we address those for you. So then you jump over to Facebook. And so this is our Facebook page. And to give you an idea, we did pay for, like, to set up the page. I'm not sure if we actually contracted this out or not, but this is simply our banner that you saw over on our blog. This is just our corporate banner. And you see here, Gary and I talked about the Webex thing, that we're official partner, and we've got that many likes, you know, thumbs up on this stuff. Here's the link to the blog, so it's all interrelated. And when we do posts, when we post articles, you saw that article when we were on the blog. Here's the article here. We simply post it here as well. And this builds your credibility. It gives you a page on Facebook that is a professional, business-oriented page. It costs $0 to make posts. Now, here's what's interesting. You start interacting with people like Christine here. You have an opportunity, and Gary, when we think of advertising dollars, one of the biggest bangs for our buck is to do an article boost like Facebook will let you do for minimal cost. You can do it for $10 to, you know, upwards of whatever you want to do, and it'll tell you here how many people you can reach. And to us, we've tried the advertising on Facebook and we've tried the blog boosts. The boosting of this particular, of any kind of blog article, is far superior than just advertising on Facebook. So keep that in mind. Yeah, it's far superior. We've looked at all the data. We've done everything. So when you think about spending, we typically do, we'll say $50 for when we put a blog post up. This was Dr. Dave Kruger's article that he did for us. And versus spending $50 a day through advertising, in which we saw very little impact from, we'll do $50 for a blog post and it will generate income. And that's really what we want to do. Here's a post Dr. Dave Kruger and I did in Art and Science of Human Capital Enhancement. So this is that. Had 158 likes from that, and almost 16,000 people directly saw that. And the permutation of that is in the hundreds of thousands. So again, that ripple effect, the spider's web of all of this, really is fantastic in terms of getting your message out there and becoming that thought leader. And that's such an important thing. So Gary, you want to jump in and just give thoughts on this?
Yeah, a couple of quick thoughts. Number one, it is so important to be consistent. So when you look at what Drayton is showing you here, notice the colors, the banner, the logo, the symbols, everything is consistent, so that when you look at one thing and go to the next thing, from Facebook to LinkedIn to his blog to Twitter, it all has a consistent appearance. So you want to, particularly for those of you that are just getting started, you want to make sure you set it up so that it all has a continuity to it, so that people can recognize immediately who they're dealing with, and can recognize you, and there's consistency in your message as well. So that's one thing that came to mind, right? The other thing that I wanted to talk about is the reach of this. Drayton talked about the blog boost for Facebook, and he talked about LinkedIn. You want to link all these things together so that when you're doing a post on your blog, have your LinkedIn people directed towards go to my blog. Have your posted on Facebook and Twitter and so on and so forth, so that you're well-rounding your approach to how you're having people that are seeing you in a number of different places, but it's all the same topic. It's all, check out today's brand new blog, or check out our article on leadership, or whatever it is. And then the final thought I had is that whether we like it or not in our industry, I've never found that advertising works. So even if you have a budget of $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 a month that you were going to build your business coaching company or your business coaching practice, which I doubt, very few people would have that kind of budgeting for building their practice. I'm not sure you can get any more than what Drayton got for $50 on his blog boost on Facebook. So you want to take advantage of these opportunities because they're so effective, and they're so powerful, and it's so low cost. And if I had a better way, Drayton, if I could tell you a way that you could make $10,000 in sales and it would only cost you $1,000, I'd be on the phone so fast sharing it with you, it'd make your head spin. But it doesn't exist as far as I know. There's no secret sauce for advertising. This is it. This is the way to get yourself known.
This is it. Yeah, it's so true, Gary. And what is so cool, and I want everyone to listen to this, please. What is so cool is that it's very, very democratic now. So 5 years ago, you had to spend money on advertising. You had to. You had to go Google AdWords, put it in the black hole, and hope something pops out. And now, literally, for just pennies, you can get on and build a platform for a fraction of what it used to cost. So, Gary, people are always worried, well, my barrier to entry is so great because I don't have this, I don't have that. Well, it's much better now by far than it was 5 years ago. The key is becoming a thought leader, getting your thoughts out there, building your platform across all these different platforms, and being consistent, as Gary said. So you can do this. I haven't shown you anything other than the boost that costs a penny. Your LinkedIn profile costs $0 unless you want to go to their next level up, the professional. I think it's $29 or $30 a month. The blog costs you $0. The Facebook business page costs you $0. And Twitter costs you $0. So Gary, if you really want to get serious about this business and build your tribe, your following, this is the way to do it, and to do it at minimal cost, if any.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is where we're going, folks. I mean, Drayton talked about his resistance to it, and people insisting that he get involved. He was a Boy Scout compared to me. I was just absolutely dead set against it, Hulk Hogan style. I just didn't want to. I didn't see any value until we were literally forced to get our name and get the reputation of BusinessCoach.com out in the world. Otherwise, we'd be left behind, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing. I count our blessings every day that we jumped in when we did. But also, I can tell you, we've started new projects, Gary. We just launched a new site last week. And what we've learned from doing all of this, that new site is already in the top 150,000 sites in 1 week.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Folks, it's amazing. And it's because we focused on the blog first. We're making a posting every day. We did all the right things. Just from what I'm telling you here, learn from, and believe me, this looks all like, roses and rainbows at this point. This was a lot of brain damage to get to this point, and I'll tell you how to circumvent that, because it was back then, 5 years ago, it was trial and error. I mean, Twitter had just come out, and it's now so refined, and just if you just mimicked what we did, you're going to be golden. The same thing that will apply for you. We got a great question here from Christine, Gary. Very exciting what you're talking about. All this tech stuff is pretty challenging for me, and I guess for a lot of older women too. What's your advice? Well, Christine, I'll start off, Gary, and then you can jump in.
Okay.
It was challenging for me at the start too. That's the reason I didn't want to do this. The best counsel I can give you is, don't spend your time figuring all this stuff out by yourself if you're not so inclined. I happen to like this stuff. I just have to pull myself back from doing it too much and let our team do it, and that's what I do. I just get involved where I need to, and that's the important things, and my focus is on writing and being that thought leader and then setting up an infrastructure that takes it from there. The counsel around this is don't try to do it yourself, Christine. And Frank just said, what do you mean older women? I think it's easy for men too. And it's true. It's not a gender issue, you know. It's one of those things, either you like this stuff or you don't. My best counsel for you is to go to odesk.com or elance.com. I've mentioned these before. And pick out someone that you've vetted, and it's easy to vet them through their systems, and contract it out. And it's very, very inexpensive. You can get somebody to manage all this stuff, set it up for you, manage it for minimal cost. It really is very inexpensive. A lot of those people are $5 to $10 an hour on Odesk or Elance. So don't try to do it yourself. There are plenty of people who do this and do it well. And ask some of your colleagues who they might use to do this. We have our own people that do it, and it works great. If you're not in that position, then just contract it out. Make that investment in the people that do it. Focus on your writing. I'm giving the counsel I've given myself. I focus on the writing and contract everything else out or have our team do it. So you don't have to get all of this, but I will show you something that makes this very easy, okay? And Gary, I'm going to pull the curtain back on Oz here for a second.
Okay, good.
So let me show you something. It's all about incorporating the right tools. So this is TweetDeck, excuse me. So we use, and this is free or very, very low cost. This is where you can go in, and if you're going to make a post, you can make it. We've got 4 different accounts. Across these 4 accounts, we've got 34,000 followers. And you can make a post of all 4 of these at the same time. You just do it here, and you write whatever, as a thought leader, you're thinking, and you hit the tweet button, and it goes to all of them. So that's 34,000 people that will see it times the number of followers that all those 34,000 people have. So you're easily talking 1 million people every time you post something when you get to those kinds of numbers. So use TweetDeck. Another one is called TweetAdder. I've got it closed down now because it pulls a lot of bandwidth, and I didn't want to degrade this call. But there are things you can automate. For instance, through our TweetAdder, we have put in 400 and some odd quotes. And those quotes, you just dump them in there in the text file, and then you tell them how many you want to post a day. We post about 7 or 8 a day. It does it for you. After you do this, you write your quotes or whatever it is, you don't have to do a thing. So it takes 0 time. I focus, again, my time writing future quotes, and then we'll load those into the system. So there are so many different ways that you can do this and automate it. It takes very, very little time to do our social media. It takes about, Gary, I would say my daily involvement is maybe 15 minutes. That's it.
Just like you were told at the outset.
Yeah, it's one of those fairy tales that came true. Yeah, Chris committed. Yeah. He said, you know, from what I've learned, it shouldn't take more than 15 minutes. And we've been very steadfast about and covetous of my time around that, because you can get pulled in to Facebook especially and Twitter. It could become your life if you don't watch it. So you'd have to have that discipline, and what we do is set aside, I set aside 15 minutes in the morning, and then it's done. It's just done. And it keeps building every single day. You know, people talk about building their list, Gary, and they think, oh, if I can get, 50 more people on my email list, or if I can get this or that. I will tell you, we get every single week, we get hundreds upon hundreds of new direct contacts, of email addresses, everything because of social media.
Fantastic. You talked about 4 different Twitter accounts. Drayton, maybe you want to explain that so people understand why you have 4
Sure.
and how to do that?
Yeah, exactly. I would set up a Twitter account for yourself personally. If you can get your name, I was fortunate enough, not many people have Drayton Boylston as a name. So I was lucky enough to get Drayton Boylston, at Drayton Boylston. We have Executive Coach U, which is the longest string you can have. That's for Executive Coaching University. We've got Rescue Institute, and then we have Personal Greatness. So we set up 4 different accounts because you can run into problems. We've got a problem right now with our Rescue Institute account with Twitter, and sometimes you get parsed out for certain things. So it's really, it can be a minefield on Twitter if you don't watch it, but you need to set up multiple accounts for different things that you're doing. We post much different things on our Executive Coaching University tweets than we do for my personal one.
Okay.
So, and that's where, my personal ones, again, more personal. It's our ECU one is much more institutional and business focused. My personal one's more, heartfelt and kind of heart-centered more than anything else. So I highly recommend starting, just set up 2 accounts. If you can get something close to your name, great. And then set up one for you if you have a business name. Set up one for that too. And we invested the time up front on Twitter to put together those 400 quotes. We do inspirational quotes. That's really kind of our thing. And I sat down in one weekend and wrote 400 quotes.
Oh my gosh.
And well, that was my commitment. I told Chris, I said, I'm all in for 6 months to do this. And I sat down, I did that, and then we loaded them into TweetAdder. I didn't have to do anything else. In fact, a lot of those quotes, most of them, are still running today. So for 5 years, I've added to it, and it's certainly an iterative process, but a lot of that same work I did 5 years ago is still rolling on today.
Beautiful. Great description of all of that.
And we've got a question here. Christine has a question about Elance. Yes, it's spelled ELANCE.com, and Odesk is ODESK.com. So those are the 2 places to go. There's another one called Brickworks. That's Brickworks. It's an Indian company that is one of the preeminent companies out there. They have their own staff and people that they use. They do very similar things. From if you need a virtual assistant, these are great places to find those as well. We just had a video made that's unbelievably great through a gentleman on Odesk that was very reasonably priced. So for all your different needs, and Gary, I bet you'll echo this, when in doubt, contract out. When in doubt, contract out, because the more time you spend on these types of things, the less time you're going to spend making money and helping people change their lives. So
there you go.
Contract out. Yeah, go ahead.
So let me just spend a couple minutes talking about that. So I also have a tip for people. There's also a website called Fiverr, F-I-V-V-E-R, Fiverr.com. And that is a list of 10,000 different services you can order for $5. The point of that is that if you can get somebody to do a preliminary job for you, like set up a Twitter account or help you set up a LinkedIn account for $5, then they'll quote you as to how much they would charge to do some work. The value of which is if you're only investing $5 the first go-around to see a sample of what they do, and you'll be surprised what you can get for $5 because these people want to impress you so that they can do additional work for you, and I've had tremendous luck on that one as well. The other thing that I was going to say, Drayton, about all of this is if you're a beginner, if you're just learning about having a Facebook account, a Twitter account, LinkedIn, blogging. I was speaking to a lady this morning, and I won't give her age out, but she's north of 55 years of age, and she was telling me, "Oh, Coach Gary, I just can't get into the electronic age, and I don't know who to hire, and I don't know how to do this and do that, and so on and so forth." Another thing you can do just to find out a little bit about it, remember, this is why we use search engines. Go in there and say, "I want to learn how to blog," or "I want to learn more about social media," or "I want to learn more about Facebook," and see some of the articles that people have written, because Drayton and I have a limited amount of time to have this conversation with you today. There's some tremendous, tremendous blogs out there that you can go read and see what other people are doing. There's tremendous articles and blogs and information that you can get, and where we go to get information for free these days is on the internet. So if you want to dabble a little bit before you say, "I'm not sure if I'm willing to spend $300 or $100 or $200 for somebody to help me do this or that," go out and do a little bit of research and understand what it is that that's out there, so that you can be educated, and you'll know the right questions to ask, and you'll know a little bit more about blogging and social media that Drayton and I have talked about today. Back to you,
And
sir.
I'm a piggyback on that, Gary. It's great counsel, and one thing that would make your life so much easier, and I mentioned it a couple of times today, is that find things that you like, and then when you find a contractor you like, tell him what you like and have him do something similar, or her. So that's what we've done. I go out, just as Gary was saying, we launched a new project, my own personal site, DraytonBoylston.com, and I went out and I looked at the sites of thought leaders out there that I know and respect. And I said, I like this aspect of this site, I like this of this one, and told our IT people to put something together that's an amalgamation of those. So keep notes. You know, Gary, I use Evernote to capture websites, to capture all kinds of notes, and I keep things in a web file, you know, websites I like. And then I can go to a contractor or one of our people and say, "Hey, this is what I like, can you do something similar?" So don't feel like you have to start from scratch, and it's certainly not copying anybody or anything, because it's just a stylistic thing. So when I went to, we've created the new blog, and I found guys that I like and respect, and said, "I want something similar to that. I like that look and feel," or "I like the way they've formatted this." And we took kind of the best practices from a lot of the blog leaders out there, and then put them together and made it our own.
There you go.
And and it's so easy to do, folks, if you approach it that way, and it's not paralyzing, because a lot of people, like Christine was saying earlier, "Oh my gosh, all this tech stuff." Well, just figure out what you like, and maybe where your tribe goes. That's the other thing, Gary, is find out where your tribe congregates, and go there and see what resonates with them, and then speak to that.
Great advice, great wisdom, my friend. Good counsel. Okay, what do we want to talk about next, sir?
Yeah, this is a lot for folks. So I guess, you know, I'd like to open it up and say, what questions do you have? This is, and we'll give the recording, we'll post that up, and you can, you know, slow this down and screenshot it, whatever you want to do. But what questions might we answer for you at this point that would be helpful? What's the biggest thing that you need to know?
And while we're talking about that, okay, may I put a little plug in outside information here that relates to social media?
Sure.
Yeah. So there are some of you that are not afraid of America's #1 fear, and that is getting in front of an audience and being a public speaker. Some of you may like myself and my friend Drayton, maybe enjoy getting up and speaking and getting in front of an audience, and maybe there's a business club or a Rotary or a organization that would hire you or have you come in and speak. For those of you that are inclined to do so, remember, on the back of your card, you can put, you can hand your card out to everybody or have it at the back table and say, please pick up one of my cards. If you'd like to see a recent article on leadership, you can go to my blog information, or how to reach me by blog is in the back of my card. Or I would like to be, I'd like to have you check out my website. If you like it, click on the like button, or go to Facebook and click on my latest post and like my website or my site on Facebook, et cetera, et cetera. So remember that Drayton and I are certainly not advocating that because social media is so powerful these days and so such an easy and fast way to get known and get your name out there. We're not suggesting that you don't want to build a database. That's also very important for the people that that you come in contact with and the people that are part of your tribe or that you want to become part of your tribe. If you have a newsletter, if you have other things, all that can go beautifully and hand in hand with all of your social media. But if you're speaking or if you're doing newsletters or whatever, draw people to your blog, to your Facebook account, to your LinkedIn. People on your LinkedIn, ask them if they want to sign up for your newsletter or get your free report on how to double your business in 90 days or less, or whatever it is that you are promoting. You want to have ways that people can reach you. And again, all these things weave together in the web. And then as Drayton says, once you boost them, once they reach out and people like them and they forward them to their friends and all these other things, your name now becomes a household word, not just in your neighborhood, not just in the state where you live or even the country, but all over the world.
Yeah, Gary, that might even be scary for some folks to think about. It's like, okay, so I post this and it's going all over the world. Well, I will tell you, the borders have been obliterated.
Yes.
And it's true. And that's, the old school of, going to a local networking event to get clients. That's completely backwards from what Gary and I advocate. We talk about going narrow and deep. So, the narrow piece means that you may have clients that are attracted to your tribe in 206 countries, and be open to that. But know that now the world is your database. Mm-hmm. And people talk about building and all that stuff, and I'm a firm believer that it's not the size of your list, it's the quality and engagement level of your list that matters. Yes. And when you do things like we've talked about today, Gary, with this, you're not beating people over the head with email every single week that they're going to unsubscribe or they just delete. They're coming to you, and they're taking, for instance, and I shared this with Gary, the average person spends almost 20 minutes on our site, the ECU site. And the average in the internet is somewhere around 30 to 45 seconds, depending on who you believe. So that tells us they're coming here, they're reading a bunch, they're staying and poking around and getting to know us. And that's all we ask of people. Just get to know us and see if it's a good fit for us to do something together. And that takes the pressure off of you going to a networking event or stressing about creating all these emails that are not going to get read because the average open rate's 10%. They're coming to you out of choice because they're interested in what you're saying. And that's what happens when you anoint yourself thought leader. Right, Gary? There's no thought leader school, right? There's no one with a coronation event, the queen comes down and puts a sword on your shoulders and said, you are deemed to be a thought leader. It doesn't work that way.
No, there's barely a definition, let alone an ordination. So absolutely, this is your choice. This is a way that you can do it, and there's not anybody that's listening to this call that can't do that and that can't create that if you put your mind to it. It's not complicated, it's not rocket science, and again, the world has shrunk so small. Drayton, we, just to put it in proper perspective, I speak to people in every continent almost every single day. I mean, that's how small the world is, and we get little villages in in Africa and out in South America and places very small where people have to walk to get to a place where there's internet service that send us, how much is your home study course, or how do I become a business coach, or where do I get access to this or that? Get that almost every day.
Mm-hmm. And that is what's so cool about this, folks, is that you have the potential, absolutely the potential, to reach these people in every corner of this planet, and you'll be blown away by who comes forward and the stories they have and the impact that you can have on their lives with the work that you do. And
absolutely.
Embracing. And Gary, one of the important things is just to be open to all of this and to understand that the world truly is your oyster, and if you embrace the whole social media approach to the world, which this is not going away. You got a choice, get on the train or watch it leaving the station. I mean, it's just not going away. So we want you to embrace it to whatever level you feel comfortable. And I'm going to amend that. I want you to feel discomfort, quite frankly.
Uncomfortable,
to
whatever level you feel uncomfortable.
Yes, I mean, stretch yourself, and therein lies the growth. Stretch yourself and do some of these things that you may not be comfortable with today, and push yourself. Eleanor Roosevelt said a great thing. She said, do one thing every single day that scares you. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're talking about. You may be a little afraid of all this stuff. I personally was when we started. I was afraid it was going to take all my time. I was afraid I wouldn't get the tech right. I was afraid of, all these other things, that I would look stupid out there, right? And we're afraid of those things. And the reality is that made me uncomfortable, but look at what it has turned into from that level of discomfort to where it sits today.
And it's only going to continue, and it's only going to get bigger, and it's only going to get more prominent. Just as sure as we know in a couple of years there's not going to be any printed yellow pages, we know that Facebook and Twitter and Google are going to continue to and there'll be new people on the scene of the crime that will continue to offer ways that we can connect with each other around the world in moments. In fact, I don't know if you remember reading this, Drayton. You probably read it, but as the Navy SEALs were landing in in Osama bin Laden's backyard there in Afghanistan, the neighbor was tweeting, and it was going all around the world to his following. He had a pretty big following. And he was saying, something big is coming down in my neighborhood because there's helicopters and there's lights and there's gunshots and all this stuff going on. And it was live. I mean, you realize 10 years ago, 20 years ago, that wasn't even a possibility. But this is live reporting from an amateur sitting in a bedroom on a second floor looking out going like, something big is going on right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna continue and build. So we've got a choice here, and we've got a great observation and question from Lori here, Gary. So don't you think it's a great way to introduce yourself to a target client, ally, etc.? Email them a link to a blog with a note about why you thought of them, thought they might be interested in, or ask for their thoughts. Yeah, they may be interested in connecting, following, collaborating, etc. Absolutely, Lori.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the type of thing we're talking about, and that's what a thought leader does. We're not a thought leader for our own benefit, although there's certainly great benefit to it for ourselves. We're a thought leader because we care about people and we want to give them, share information, either our own or someone else's. And so it's multifaceted, but the key thing for us is the purity of intention. So when we do a blog post, our intention is very pure, and we want to get compelling information out. We call it thought-provoking leadership thoughts, or provocative leadership thoughts. We want to get that out to people to stimulate a conversation. That's our whole focus with this, is get people talking about these things, whether it's coaching in the workplace or about mindset or about demigod leaders. You can see all the topics on the right. We want to inspire those conversations. That's the important thing. And you can do the exact same thing. So Gary, we're a little bit over. You want to wrap things up?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone listening. We had another great attendance list of people on the call today. We had almost a record number of people on the call today. Thank you so much. Spread the word. Let other people know. It is Drayton and mine's heart-filled vision and mission to get out to the world, training and support and opportunities for people to grow their coaching practice, any kind of coaching practice. And we do this because we are thought leaders and we are passionate about our industry, and we're not trying to put the focus or the spotlight on us. We're trying to put the spotlight and the focus on you and what it is that you need. So if you want to go to the blog and come up with suggestions for future topics, if you want to make comments on what we're up to and the different calls each month, please attend the third Tuesday of every single month. Drayton and I will be sitting right here at the helm of the Coaching Crucible, and happy to serve the coaching industry and bring topics up that maybe are not being shared or not shared completely in other venues.
Yeah, well said, Gary. And know that we're going to post the recording. It'll be there within 24 hours, and we'll send out the link to that page, the same page every time. And feel free to post comments there, questions, and we do our best to listen to you. And this whole topic today came from some suggestions from the last session. So we're happy to respond to those, and just know that we appreciate what you're doing. Being here, being of service to others is the ultimate calling. So Gary and I thank you, and we look forward to hearing your voices and getting your questions between now and next session. So with that, Godspeed and take good care.
Thanks, everybody.